I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head.
I don't buy for a minute that he's going to prison without getting out of here somewhere and stashing $2 billion or whatever. I think he has that kind of power, meaning Sean himself. But remember, it goes a lot deeper than that.
Terrence Howard's name has long been synonymous with Hollywood prestige, his career a tapestry of critically acclaimed roles and undeniable talent. But in the spring of 2025, Howard wasn't making headlines for a new film or a celebrated performance. No, this time, the spotlight was on a story so bizarre, so unsettling, that it left the entertainment world reeling. On a quiet April morning, the actor appeared on the PBD podcast, seated across from host Patrick Bet-David, and proceeded to drop a bombshell. What started as a conversation about the challenges of maintaining integrity in Hollywood quickly veered into murkier, more treacherous waters, an alleged encounter with Sean Diddy comes that has since ignited a firestorm of speculation and controversy.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me.
Howard didn't mince words. He described being invited repeatedly by Diddy, who he claimed wanted him to act as some sort of personal performance coach. At first glance, the request seemed innocuous, if a bit puzzling. Why would a music mogul of Diddy's stature suddenly decide he needed acting lessons from Terrence Howard? But as Howard recounted the details, the situation began to sound less like a professional collaboration and more like something ripped straight from a Hollywood thriller. According to Howard, the meeting that finally transpired was anything but typical. Diddy, he said, barely spoke. Instead, he sat there, staring at Howard with an intensity that quickly turned from awkward to outright unnerving. And then came the moment that seemed to crystallize the entire encounter. Diddy asking Howard to play his own music, a request which, in hindsight, Howard felt was less about artistic curiosity and more about something he couldn't quite put his finger on at the time.
Hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
Howard's assistant, however, didn't share his ambiguity. After confiding in them about the strange interaction, the assistant reportedly offered a blunt assessment. Diddy's intentions weren't professional at all. I think he's trying to get closer to you in ways that aren't about acting, the assistant allegedly told him. Howard, who has built a career on playing characters with unshakable confidence, admitted on the podcast that he felt deeply unsettled, and this wasn't an isolated incident. Howard revealed that he had faced similar behavior from other producers in Hollywood, instances where boundaries were crossed, where lines blurred, where power dynamics became weapons. He claimed he had even been forced to get physical in some cases, threatening to defend himself if things went any further.
Now you know to be hands-off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth, or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept.
But this wasn't just about a single uncomfortable meeting. The revelations were a lightning rod, drawing attention to a side of Hollywood that many whisper about but few dare to confront publicly. Howard's account came at a time when Diddy himself was already embroiled in mounting legal troubles. The mogul had been arrested the previous year on a laundry list of charges, including racketeering and trafficking, with whispers of an even darker history trailing behind him. And then there were the infamous parties, events, that had become something of an open secret among industry insiders. These weren't your run of the mill celebrity gatherings. The stories that trickled out painted a picture of excess and secrecy, with rumors suggesting that Diddy used these events to collect compromising material on other high-profile attendees. Whether through hidden cameras or other methods, the whispers claimed that Diddy had amassed a treasure trove of footage that could be leveraged for influence or silence.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at him. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
For Howard, the stakes were high. His podcast appearance wasn't just a bombshell for the public. It was a direct affront to a man whose reputation, if even half the allegations were true, suggested he was not someone to cross lightly. The fallout was immediate. Within days of the episode airing, Howard's family began receiving threatening messages. These weren't your garden variety insults from internet trolls. No, these were calculated, deliberate warnings. Anonymous calls, cryptic voicemails, even unmarked packages left at their doorstep. Howard's loved ones found themselves looking over their shoulders, their sense of safety eroding with each new development.
To not be involved with a famous singer, to not come out, here's the price. And that they're just selling to the individuals that are in those. This is what I heard. They're selling those videos. So if you're Tommy X, and Tommy X is a big, big movie star, and he was at some of the Diddy parties, he was in one of those bedrooms with 3 other men, and he's happily married to a woman, and blah. Tommy doesn't want that video to come out. He does not want it to come out.
And then, just as the public was beginning to grasp the gravity of what Howard had revealed, he disappeared. Not in the metaphorical sense. Not a retreat from social media or a decision to lay low in the public eye. He literally vanished. No one, not his family, not his friends, not his colleagues, could reach him. It was as if he had been plucked out of existence. The timing was impossible to ignore. Was Howard in hiding, fearing for his safety? Or had something more sinister occurred? The questions only deepened when reports surfaced of black SUVs seen idling near his Los Angeles residence in the days leading up to his disappearance. Surveillance footage, later leaked to a tabloid, showed unidentified individuals entering his gated community late at night. The tapes raised more questions than answers. Who are these people, and why had they come?
We know he filmed people, for sure, on that island. He has a lot of movies, a lot of films of people that are very, very powerful political figures. And entertainers, business people. So, do you really believe that Jeffrey Epstein killed himself?
Of course not.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's other theories that he's in Lebanon. He never died at all. That having the weight of owning those films right now.
Theories ran wild. Some speculated that Howard had gone underground, taking drastic measures to protect himself and his family. Others believed he had been silenced, the victim of a coordinated effort to snuff out a potential whistleblower. And while no concrete evidence has surfaced to support either theory, one thing is clear: Howard's disappearance has left a gaping hole in the narrative, a void that only fuels the mystery surrounding Diddy and his alleged activities. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. If Howard's claims about Diddy's behavior weren't enough to raise eyebrows, the rumors about the mogul's infamous parties added another layer of complexity. These weren't just wild nights filled with celebrities. According to multiple sources, the party served as something far more strategic, a stage for manipulation. A stage for manipulation? A web where secrets were spun and leverage was gained. Insiders whispered about hidden cameras, about rooms specifically designed to capture moments that guests would later want to forget. And then there were the tapes, allegedly auctioned off to the highest bidder in clandestine sales, designed to keep the most explosive material under wraps. It was said that those who found themselves caught on camera had 2 choices: pay up or face the fallout.
Did you ever meet Diddy?
I've met him before, yeah.
How was he?
Very nice guy, very smart, super business. He's very successful.
If true, the implications were staggering. These weren't just the actions of a man trying to protect his empire. They were the maneuvers of someone playing a much larger game. And in the wake of Howard's revelations, it became impossible to ignore the question: was Diddy the mastermind of his own operation, or merely a pawn in a machine far bigger than himself? Some began to wonder whether Howard's disappearance was less about silencing one man and more about protecting a network of power that stretched far beyond Hollywood.
So I'll tell you, I don't know how much. I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, But was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything, with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
What's undeniable is that the Howard saga has cracked open a door that many would prefer remain closed. It's a story of fame and fear, of power wielded in shadows, of secrets buried just beneath the surface of the glittering facade that is Hollywood. And with each new detail that emerges, the tension only builds. What happened to Terrence Howard? And more importantly, what or who is hiding behind the curtain? And just when you think the story couldn't possibly go further off the rails, it does. Terrence Howard's chilling disappearance wasn't just a momentary ripple. It was a tsunami-tary ripple. It was a tsunami of unanswered questions. And at the center of it all, Sean Diddy Combs, a man who spent decades building an empire on a foundation that's starting to look more and more like quicksand. But let's not forget, this isn't the first time Diddy's name has been wrapped in a web of allegations, whispers, and unresolved mysteries. In fact, Howard's vanishing act felt like a grim echo of a pattern that's been haunting Diddy's orbit for years. A pattern of power, manipulation, and some would argue impunity.
Are you done with Hollywood because of this specific reason?
I'm still working. I still, You know, I haven't made the money necessary to do all of the other stuff. So I still have to go and do the Chitlin circuit. I still have to do the job that I need to. But eventually, I've done what I set out to do, which was to redefine the universe. I've proven what I've set out to do, and that's why I have all the patents. Whether they evaluate it or not, that's up to them.
Take a look at the trail of chaos in Diddy's past. It's not just about the parties, the headlines, or even the arrests. It's about a man who seems to operate as though rules apply to everyone but him. From brawls in nightclubs to incidents involving high-profile celebrities, his history reads less like the biography of a music mogul and more like the script for a gritty crime drama. But the most unsettling stories aren't the ones that made the tabloids. They're the ones that simmer just beneath the surface, the ones people are too afraid to speak about out loud. The kind of stories that make you wonder, how does someone accumulate this much power without leaving a trail of scorched earth behind them?
And there has been a lot going on. Since November, there have been 8 civil lawsuits filed against Diddy. 7 of them accuse him of sexual assault.
And speaking of scorched earth, let's talk about Justin Bieber. Not someone you'd expect to pop up in a story like this, right? But the truth is, Bieber's name has been tied to Diddy in ways that, in hindsight, feel downright chilling. A resurfaced clip from years ago shows a teenage Bieber sitting alongside Diddy on national television. What should have been a lighthearted moment between a young pop star and a music industry mentor now feels like something else entirely. In the clip, Diddy warns Bieber, jokingly, but with an edge that's hard to ignore, not to talk about what they do together. At the time, it was played for laughs, but now it feels like a glimpse into something far more sinister. What exactly was Diddy hinting at? And why did Bieber look so uncomfortable?
It was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do.
It doesn't stop there. Multiple sources have come forward claiming that Diddy's relationship with Bieber involved more than just mentorship. There are whispers of private meetings, exclusive parties, and promises that seemed too good to be true. And let's not forget, Bieber was just a teenager at the time, navigating an industry that has a well-earned reputation for chewing people up and spitting them out. Did Diddy see an opportunity to manipulate someone young, impressionable, and desperate to succeed? Or is this just another case of the rumor mill spiraling out of control? Either way, Bieber's silence on the matter speaks volumes.
It's so funny what's happening with Diddy because this was inevitable.
But if there's one name that casts an even darker shadow over the story, it's Kim Porter, a model, an actress, a mother. Porter was, by all accounts, a pillar of strength in Diddy's life. Yet her relationship with him was anything but idyllic. Friends close to Porter have described a dynamic that was fraught with tension, control, and moments that bordered on outright hostility. And then there's the diary. Yes, you heard that right. A diary allegedly kept by Porter, detailing everything she endured during her time with Diddy. According to those who claim to have seen it, the entries paint to have seen it, the entries paint a picture of a man who was as manipulative as he was powerful. But here's the kicker. That diary has never been made public. It's disappeared, much like Terrence Howard, leaving behind only questions and theories.
Right. Well, Kim Porter, that is Diddy's ex, who's also the mother of his 3 of his children.
Right.
Has detailed the alleged abuse that she suffered at his hands.
Oh, no.
And this is all in a memoir.
And then there's the matter of Porter's sudden passing. Official reports chalked it up to natural causes, but the timing, the circumstances, they have conspiracy theorists working overtime. I'll be sure, Porter's former partner and the father of one of her children has openly questioned the official narrative. He's hinted, without outright accusing, that foul play might have been involved. And frankly, can you blame him? When someone with as much influence as Diddy is involved, it's hard not to wonder if there's more to the story. Could Porter have been silenced because she knew too much? Did her alleged diary contain secrets that someone didn't want getting out? These aren't just idle questions. They're the kind that keep people awake at night.
The thing that happened is Tupac's family is reportedly deciding to investigate the rumors that Diddy was involved in Tupac's.
But what exactly was in that diary? That's the million-dollar question that continues to haunt those who were close to Kim Porter. Sources who claim to have seen portions of it describe entries that veer between heartbreakingly personal confessions and chilling accounts of power dynamics that would make anyone's hair stand on end. Allegedly, Porter wrote extensively about the struggles of living in Diddy's shadow, how his larger-than-life persona often eclipsed her own identity, leaving her feeling more like a pawn than a partner. There were also whispers that the journal contained details about Diddy's business dealings, his private life, and, most alarmingly, the alleged methods he used to maintain control over those in his orbit. If true, this wasn't just a diary, it was a ticking time bomb.
Man, this timeline is crazy, man.
I know. So many things coming at one time.
And then there's the matter of the passcode, a cryptic detail that's become a lightning rod for speculation. According to bryshere, someone allegedly gained access to Porter's phone and computer in the days following her passing, securing what he described as damning evidence. But here's the kicker. No one seems to know who this person was or where the information they accessed ended up. Was it destroyed, buried? Or worse, has it been tucked away, waiting to be unleashed at the right? Or worse, has it been tucked away, waiting to be unleashed at the right? The whole situation feels like something out of a spy thriller, with shadowy figures working behind the scenes to ensure that whatever Porter had discovered would never see the light of day. Even more unsettling is the tension that reportedly surrounded Porter in the weeks leading up to her passing. Friends and family have described her as being unusually anxious, as though she sensed something was amiss. She was reportedly in the process of making significant changes in her life, cutting ties with certain people, reevaluating her priorities, and, according to one insider, considering a tell-all memoir that would have pulled back the curtain on her life with Diddy. If that's true, it's not hard to imagine why someone might have wanted to stop her. After all, a memoir from someone as close to Diddy as Porter was wouldn't just be newsworthy, it would be explosive.
And it's like, it was the same thing Kim was going through. The same thing, bro. Kim was going through the same thing. The beatings, you know what I'm saying?
And let's not forget the timing of her passing. Just weeks before, Porter had appeared at a public event looking radiant and full of life. She even posed for photos with Diddy and their children, showing no outward signs of the illness that would later be cited as the official cause. It's this stark contrast that has fueled so much speculation. How does someone go from seemingly healthy to gone in such a short span of time? It's a question that lingers in the air, casting a long shadow over everything that's come since. And the more you dig, the harder it becomes to shake the feeling that there's more to this story than meets the eye.
Because Kim had took the cork, you know where you open up wine? The corkscrew. She took the corkscrew and caught him on his wrist defending himself. And he almost, I know he tore some ligament, but he almost hit an artery or came close to the artery, or either scratched it or cut it a little bit, because he just kept bleeding.
But let's not forget the elephant in the room, the connection to Shakur. Yes, the late, great Shakur, whose legacy looms larger than life to this day. Diddy's name has been linked to the rap icon's untimely end for decades. And while nothing has ever been proven, the allegations are impossible to ignore. Dwayne Keefe Davis, a former gang member who's been in and out of the spotlight for his role in Shaker's case, has pointed the finger squarely at Diddy. He claims Diddy offered a staggering sum for the hit, framing it as a desperate move to protect his own empire. Whether or not you believe Davis, the fact that these accusations have continued to resurface speaks volumes. Where there's smoke, after all, there's usually fire.
Keefe D named Diddy 77 times in court documents related to Tupac.
And yet, Diddy has managed to sidestep every single one of these controversies. How? That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? Is it because of his wealth, his influence, or is it something deeper, something more insidious? There's a growing sense that Diddy isn't just a man. He's an institution, a power player in a game most of us don't even realize we're part of. And institutions, as we all know, protect themselves at all costs. So what does that mean for people like Terrence Howard, Kim Porter, or even Justin Bieber? Are they collateral damage in a system that values silence over truth?
3 law firms on retainer. I don't know how much money is coming in, but I know that a lot of money is going out every single month for Diddy.
The fallout from Howard's disappearance is still unfolding, but one thing is clear. This isn't just a story about one man's allegations. It's about a culture of secrecy, a web of influence, and a legacy that's being rewritten in real time. And as more details come to light, the question isn't just who's telling the truth. It's who's willing to risk everything to find it. So what do you think? Is this just another Hollywood scandal, or is it the tip of an iceberg we're not ready to confront? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the stories they don't want you to hear. Let's keep the conversation going, because this one is far from over. See you next time.